We must understand that at different levels of understanding, different periods of growth, that things are seen and heard and experienced in such a way that they will not be seen or heard at a different point. Therefore, both are relevant. All is relevant. I have explained the principle of Tao. I don't mean Tao as a philosophical approach, or as some think that a religion is a philosophical approach as Tao, but Tao as simply one of the principles that make this thing work. It is like Tao is the carburetor of the car. You see, it is not the whole car, but without it, you'd have a hell of a time making it work in the frame of reference that it works now. Then the problem becomes that we get into debate or argument or create issue when there is no issue. If we but understand that a principle is a very, very large thing. So in learning, if whatever we think is correct and proper is brought forward into someone else's understanding, it doesn't work. Because you are outside of that person's frame of reference, trying to get them to understand something that is outside their frame of reference, and thereby saying they are wrong when it is not so. So wisdom, knowledge, demands that we not do that. See? We become wiser, more people will be attracted to what you say when you don't do that. It is called being non-judgmental. I understand from a very broad point of view. Therefore, I understand that all within that point of view have their place and their value. Because I understand that I was not always where I stand now. I once stood where they stood. This leaves me open. It leaves me open to learn more. So the idea in learning is openness to see. That does not mean necessarily that I will agree with you. It means I will listen to you. And 9 times out of 10 in the world away from this, I will not respond. I won't say anything. I do not wish to become involved in arguments, debates, because having seen from where I see, I know that it is not possible for me to change anyone's mind. It simply is not possible. It is only possible that they change their own mind. Then it works. Otherwise, it does not work. It does not work at all. It only seeks it only makes the gap between people larger. I have to say to myself, then what is my goal here? What is it that I am trying to do? If it is that I am to be the peacemaker, then I must see the whole thing objectively. I must see it according to the law. The law that says you have the perfect right to be whatever it is that you are. But that also says for you that you will reap the benefits or the consequences of that. And that is enough. I do not have to become so entwined that I become miserable, because I understand that it is your life and you will get out of it what you deserve. That is enough. It is not up to me to punish. However, understanding that, I also understand a very pragmatic reality. There are certain things that are not tolerable. They are not tolerable because they interfere with my life and the life of many others. Therefore, certain situations must be intolerable. But that does not mean that I become so involved in here that it makes me crazy. Because after all, I must always have clarity. I understand that a person's sex or sexual preference or skin color or religion, I understand that there are differences, and I understand that people who try to push themselves upon other people create animosity, create problems. I understand that they are not doing what their, quote, religions has demanded that they do. I understand that. I understand, therefore, that it is not their religion that is the difference. It is not their sex that is the difference. It is not their color of skin that is the difference. The difference is in their attitudes and their understanding or lack of understanding. It has nothing to do with their religion. I understand that if all people practiced their religions religiously, everything would be fine. I understand this. That is, if they practice in essence. So, I am not disturbed. I will not be disturbed because I understand. But again, it does not mean that I am not an active participant in life. I am. It also means that I will not be disturbed by my own action. If that action has to be aggressive, then it has to be aggressive, and aggression is a part of life. Man could not exist without aggression. It is intent that makes the difference. It is intent that makes the difference. I'm saying we cannot see this broadly when we have taken something and made that more important than the reality of life. And when we look at the reality of life, we must see our religion or the laws in it, and that it is all perfect. It is all perfect. Now, right here, right now, it is perfect. It cannot be other than it is now. It has never been and will never be. We seek, quote, peace as the absence of war. That is not possible forever. It is possible for a great period of time, but it is not possible forever. Because when we look at the things that make people grow, you see, the peaceful person can be the most ignorant, and quite often are equivalent to the violent sick person. They're just as sick on the other end of the continuum. If the violent sick person is a plus on the violent scale of 10, and the passive sick person is a minus 10 on the scale, they are both equal distances from the truth. And therefore, one is as sick as the other. See, it is not about extremes. It's about zero value, absolute value of seeing, absolute seeing. It is said that we cannot do this. I do not find that to be so. I find that it is an effort that we are not willing to make because of certain preconceived notions. We sometimes call it the knowledge of our experience, but we fail to understand that our experience is colored by our preconceived notions. We say it is important that we eradicate sexism, and sometimes in the idea of eradication of sexism, we often accuse people who are not sexist. They may say something that that individual perceives as sexist, but if you don't know where I've been, you don't know where I'm coming from. And it's important for each individual to know that. If you do not know where I have been, you don't know where I'm coming from. It is important to understand that we cannot take one statement out of context in the entire spectrum of what a person is and how they see the world and make a judgment upon that person. It is important for us to see them and say, I've said the, quote, worst people on earth, unquote. They aren't the worst people on earth. They are just people, have the same things that anyone else has. Same qualities of wanting to be loved and wanting to love and wanting to protect theirs and as anyone else. One aspect of them may be sexist, racist, anti-Semitic, or whatever, but you cannot say that that is a whole person. And to say that that is a whole person puts you in the same position as that person, because you have certainly made a judgment that is not so. That's the truth.